Hey everybody, Chris McCabe once again of e-commerce. Chris wanted to talk to you about the types of comments and information you sometimes get from internal teams at Amazon when you're trying to troubleshoot a listing suspension and account suspension, attacks from competitors, brand registry problems, compliance team issues, lots of things actually. But what I'm seeing as a trend is that Amazonians, of course, are coached to tell you whether they're account managers, account health reps, in some cases, seller support, but primarily teams that we have a lot more contact with and familiarity with than support, which we don't recommend you spend much time with. They are telling you, follow the process, right? That's the favorite thing to say. Indicate to them very quickly early on, whether it's an escalation email you're doing, a call with an account health rep, or your account manager if you're in the SAS core program. Indicate very early on that you're willing to open up an initial case, or you're going to ask them to open up an issue ticket for you if it's SAS core to help you resolve whatever that issue is, whatever that problem is or suspension. But that you're not going to wait 72 hours for an answer every time. And you're not going to wait for teams to get back to you if all they're sending is copy and paste generic responses that give you absolutely no information. I think any seller within the sound of my voice knows that most of the messaging that's outbound to sellers, whenever they're not simply telling you that the listing or account's reinstated or that they can't do something to fix it for you, they just send you a generic denial, right? Which takes the form of, you haven't sent us enough information. There are a couple of different permutations of it, but it's boilerplate, it's generic, it's vague, pretty much has no value. They know it, you know it. Everyone knows that those messages are meant just to deflect and not to communicate. And they are apparently at peace with this. But what that means for you is that you can, number one, you can base escalations on, you keep sending me the same copy and paste message over and over that has no information, gives me no insights into why we're being rejected, tells me nothing about why the information is missing or incomplete. That alone is the basis for an escalation, because typically it means that they didn't read it. Somebody inside wasn't working according to their SOPs, standard operating procedures. They weren't doing their jobs, and no one that they report to is aware that they're not doing their jobs, or maybe has the time to ensure that they're doing their jobs. Well, that's the basis of an escalation right there. You can try having account health calls with USA reps only. I'm consistently going to be talking whenever I'm recording these expert insights or suspension trends. I'm always going to tell you not to speak with account health reps in India or really anywhere except for somebody who sounds like they're in the United States. Not because every USA based rep knows everything and is well trained, but because the odds of getting some kernel of information, something useful that you could potentially use either in a follow-up call or a follow-up appeal, the odds are dramatically higher if you're dealing with somebody who's USA based. If they're not able to find info that shows that an appeal's been reviewed properly, yeah, it's going to be up to you to create an escalation around that to say, look, I followed your process. The process is broken. Make sure you understand yourself, and you make them understand in the first two sentences of any appeal that whether you send it through Seller Central or you email it from the primary email on your account, you make it very clear up front. I have followed the process. I did not stray from your protocols. The process didn't work. The process is broken. That's the kind of language, that's the kind of indication they need to at least get them started in terms of the idea that they need to look at whether or not they failed, whether or not they made a mistake, or just the person who reviewed your last appeal wasn't trained to handle it, didn't show any signs or evidence that they read it. A lot of people at Amazon know that's going on, right? They're frustrated too. Try to co-opt them in your effort in terms of, as a lot of people understand, many appeals fall by the wayside or not properly reviewed. There isn't a lot of auditing of investigative quality. Sometimes people put that right in their appeal. There's no sign that there's any quality assurance, any audits of investigative quality, because we talked to account health. We tried to get denial notes or rejection reasons. They weren't able to find it. They weren't helpful. There was no proof or really any evidence that the appeal was even read or opened, let alone reviewed properly. So speak their language, right? We get how many people asking us what kind of language or verbiage they should put in appeals. Put it in terms that an Amazonian will understand, whether they're seller performance, whether they're in policy enforcement teams, whatever might be going on for you. Make sure you indicate, I tried to follow your process. I'm escalating it now only because we didn't get any useful information back. We didn't get any information back at all. Many appeals are just ghosted at this point. We didn't see a response at all. Or we tried calls to account help. We tried written appeals. We tried this, and this. Put it in a bulleted list. Very simple, very quick to read. We did all of the steps in your protocols, procedures, and processes, and it's just not working. Something broke down here. We need manager level help, expert level help inside the company to look at this and to help us out. So just a tip in terms of appeals, some of the jargon you can include. It's not just about jargon. It's not just about copying and pasting templates. I'm constantly talking on this channel and on another podcast about this. You're not looking for templates when you're looking to appeal. Customize content if you want them to read it. If you think they're going to care, make sure you look like you put some care and attention into it as well. Questions on this? Let me know. Once again, Chris McCabe at E-commerce Chris. Have a good one.